Hey guys, Suraj here from TMCB. Today we're going to talk about is it okay to have a dog in an apartment? What are the problems faced by the owners who have a dog in an apartment? Without much further delay, let's directly get into the topic. Okay, now for most of the people who have this doubt, will it be the right choice to get a dog while I stay in an apartment, or does anyone suggest is it okay to have a dog in an apartment? The only answer for it is yes, of course you can, but it depends on what breed you go for, right? Because most people, the only breed that they know is a Labrador, mostly because this has been widely seen in our Indian community. But the only problem is Labrador is a brilliant pet. It's a brilliant breed, but it's not. I feel or I believe that it's not the right one for you to have in an apartment, right? Because the size of the breed is pretty huge. Maybe the first 3 to 4 or even say up to 6 months, it's okay for you to have that breed because it'll be pretty small in size, right? But then later, as you go, say around 8 9 months, it almost becomes at a size of a human when it stands. So that big breed at an apartment I wouldn't suggest, because when you have bigger breeds like that, you obviously need a lot of space for the pets to play around or move around, and in an apartment it's quite not the scenario for you to have such big breeds. So number one is definitely do not go for a breed that is bigger. Do not go for breeds that are furious or ferocious, such as your Rottweilers or Dobermans. Go for something that is smaller, like a Beagle, or go for breeds like Shih Tzu, Pug, or even Pomerian for up to an extent is fine. The reason being is smaller dogs do not need a larger amount of space to play or move around. That's the major scenario that you have to think about. And also these breeds that I said, the smaller ones, apart from Dachshund, every other breed is pretty friendly, pretty pet friendly. So it's not a problem when you stay in an apartment. Now, what are the problems you face as a owner of a pet who lives in an apartment? Is that number one, since the dog is in an apartment and it's not an open space like your individual homes. What do I mean? I don't mean to say that individual homes have open rooftops, but at least they would have bigger verandas or bigger car parking space which is open, right? Dogs pretty much 3/4 of the time would stay in places like that. They don't always stay inside the home. Well, in an apartment, they do not have a choice apart from going to the balcony. Most of the apartments, I doubt, even have balcony nowadays. They just make the halls bigger and cut down on a lot of other things. So dogs like these tend to stay in the hall or in the living room most of the time. So which you will start facing the hair problems, because dogs do tend to lose a lot of hair regardless of whatever breed you have. Some people say go for Dachshund, they don't lose much of a hair. But I don't believe in that, because I own a Dachshund myself, and he does lose a lot of hair, and it's pain, because my mom keeps cribbing about it. My mom keeps shouting because she happens to sweep the floor every, say, 3 to 4 hours, and still a pile load of hair is being found when she sweeps. So that is one reason. The next problem faced by a owner is that, let's say that you as a family move out for a shopping. You cannot take your dog wherever you go, right? Nor would you have a maid 24/7 to look after the dog. So in cases like that, you might have to put your dog away alone, and the first couple of months that you leave him alone, he's definitely going to make it a scene by screaming or barking or just making a hell lot of noise, where your neighbors would start complaining, especially if your neighbor has a son or a daughter who's been preparing for some exam, or who's working in an IT company and having a lot of meetings. They're just going to keep sending you messages, or they're going to complain. So you need to keep these things also in mind. And the third problem faced by y'all is, since you guys do not have an open space like an individual house has, you are always with your pet inside a living room or a hall, and you cannot keep taking it out every 5 minutes or 10 minutes for a walk, right? So hence the dog might urine or shit in the space that it lives itself, right? That's very common, at least for the first couple of months till you train your dog. That's very common, and that's going to happen for sure. It might piss on the floor, it might piss on the sofa. Now the problem in these things, since the apartments are not very huge and it's a flat, it does not even have duplex, or it's not got a too long roof, the stink or the smell of whatever it does is rapidly gonna spread from your main door till your living room to everywhere else. And the whole problem is that till you figure out from where the actual smell is coming, you're gonna die. Trust me, I've been through this. You're literally gonna die. You might have to spend a couple of bucks on disinfectant sprays and all of these room fresheners and etc. for you to sort that out. And the most difficult part is that it never goes off easily, because since it's a packed space and you have curtains, you have clothes, you have a lot of sofas and a lot of absorbing materials around your home, the smell is not gonna go off so easily. So that's the third problem. And the fourth one is, since the dog is always staying inside the place, be ready to lose some of the things, be ready to lose some of the clothes that you own, because definitely since it does not have much time to play out and since it's always inside, it's gonna fuck around some of the things. For example, let's say that you remove your t-shirt and put it away, it's definitely gonna take it and bite it. It's gonna bite your shoes, it's gonna bite the cot's leg, it's gonna bite all of the wooden furnitures that you have around. So these are some of the problems that almost 90% of the apartment owners face when they bring in a pet. And the fifth one is, it has very less space to play, right? Like the pet that you bring in, if in case you're a newly married couple and you are just living in a 1 BHK apartment, the space becomes too small for it to play. And if you're a newly married couple, obviously both of y'all are working, so there are very less chances for you to take it out in the morning times. You will only be able to take it out after 6 or 7, and I'm sure you guys are not even going to take it out for like 4 or 5 hours. It's just going to be like a 10 minutes walk or a 15 minutes walk. Just imagine if you were in that situation, you would go into depression, right? So the same thing is also going to happen to the pet. When you bring along a pet, you need to make sure that you give it space, you give it time, you make sure that even that is happy, because that's also a living soul, right? So these are the problems that an owner would face who stays in an apartment. And if you actually go through all of the 5 points, one common problem that all the 5 points had was less space. The less space is not just there even in an apartment, it is also applicable for an individual house who lives in a pretty much same structure like an apartment. But again, I wouldn't say that only the ones who's got bigger homes, bigger verandas or bigger car parking space should own dogs. You do have appropriate breeds for you to rear if you're staying in a smaller place. Like, go for the smaller breeds, like I said. Go for pugs, go for Dachshunds, go for Shih Tzus, and Beagles are pretty nice for these sort of places. So you can get along. I still know some people who live in an apartment and who own dogs like Rottweilers or Huskies and stuff. I really wonder how they are even having the patience enough to rear a pet like that in such small space. If you are one such person who's like, I don't give a damn about space, I can take him out always, I can make sure that he's fine and he or she is all happy, go for it. But then just keep in mind all of the 5 points that I happen to say, which will help you out much later in the future, and you'll thank me for that. I hope you like this video. In case you like this video, give a thumbs up, and if you still haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe. I will meet you on the next video for sure. Peace.